What's up, everybody? Cinephile Mike here, and today I am thrilled to be joined by actor Jonathan Kite to discuss his starring role in the award-winning short film Meeting Your Maker, making its way to the Oscar-qualifying HollyShorts Film Festival. Directed by Gregory JM Kasunich, Meeting Your Maker follows Otis, a beloved children's television puppet facing an existential crisis before his 300th episode. Jonathan, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
So when Gregory first approached you with Meeting Your Maker, or however this script came to you, what was it about the script or Otis's journey that made you want to be a part of this project?
I think it's about expectations that we have for ourselves and the expectations that people put upon us that is either real or imagined, right? And he approached me by saying, he goes, I wrote the script, with you in mind. I'd love for you to look it over. And I think because I do a lot of on-camera stuff and a lot of voiceover stuff,
Mm.
it felt like such a natural fit. And also sort of for being, he talked about this later, that one of the biggest things I connected to was that I was known for playing a character for a long time. And then it's like, how do you get out of the shadow of that character
Mhm.
as your life goes on? And obviously being thankful and grateful for that, but also acknowledging that time moves on and that you have to redefine, excuse me, yourself and what makes you happy every day. And I think that I really connected to that just having been on, shows like Two Broke Girls and stuff. And it really, there was a lot of things that really uh, felt like I could really personalize this and
Mhm.
bring something to the role because I think that those themes matter and have been present in my life.
And one of the fascinating things about it is you're essentially acting opposite a puppet for much of the story. So, what was the collaboration like with Amanda Maddock? How did you two work together to create that relationship between puppeteer and puppet?
I said when Greg pitched me, I read it over. I thought that there was something really there, but I said to him, "Who's gonna do, you know, the, I don't know how much it's a spoiler alert, but because I do the puppet and someone else needs to do the puppet, and I said, I have no puppeteering experience, and he goes, we got this woman who is, he gave me her background, and I said I'd like to meet her, and I remember thinking, if she's as good as he's pitching her, I think we might have a chance because I think the moment someone sees how the magic trick is done, and it's hard, it's an illusion, right? Because everything we don't hide behind CGI
Right.
or AI, right? Everything is practically done. And so I met with her and we sat down and we just talked for a while at Greg's office. And I remember just sort of getting a feel for her and her getting a feel for me. Because essentially, we were going to be Fight Club. We needed to be two people playing the same person.
Yep.
And I said, with all due respect to everybody else, I said, we can probably get another me. We can probably get another you. I go, we need whoever is going to do that, it's got to be like the Lilu from Fifth Element. You got to have that fifth
Yeah.
element. And
Yeah.
I said, I think that I am enough of what we need. And I know that obviously I believe and love Greg and Lee, our producing partners, and Derek. Shout out to those guys who, the sort of, we all made the ship run, but those guys were incredible. And they were there and we talked. And I think it was more like introducing two dogs to one another to see if we could go on this Iditarod together. Could we race at the same speed in 3 days? We had 3 days to shoot this.
I didn't
And
know
so,
that. Okay.
yeah. And so her and I worked like dogs together. It's something that I'm so proud of and I will always remember. And I remember, and I watched a lot of videos and I'm going, and then when we had to do it, I go, well, we'll see. if it comes out on camera, you'll just have to see if the magic trick worked. But I believed that she was good enough, like great enough, and so talented. And I believed that we could operate together. Because that's the other thing. Chemistry, if I may, Two Broke Girls, the biggest thing that that show really had was chemistry. It felt like a family. Kat
Hmm.
and Beth did not know each other. That's the thing that we kept repeating in all the press junkets. They're like, so
Right.
how long have they been friends? And I'm like, I don't
Right.
know, 2 episodes. Like people, but they just, and by the way, their characters were strangers that instantly became best friends. That was their life.
Right.
And I remember thinking with Amanda, listen, that's chemistry. Like that's why teams win championships. You can have all the
Yep.
talent in the world, but do you have chemistry? And when
Hmm.
I met her, and I said, now it's so funny. Like when we go do red carpets together, I say we look like a David Byrne cover band. Like we just sort of look like like the White Stripes. We sort of look like two people that do something together.
Right.
And I really love that. And I love her so much. And I mean, this movie would be nothing without her. And she is such an essential part of the machine. And yeah, she doesn't get enough credit. Whatever credit she's getting, it's not enough.
And as you were developing the character, were you part of the conversation? Because I love these small details, like the sweater vest that Otis wears is similar to the shirt that you wear, and all these
Yeah.
like small, minute details.
Yeah.
Um, were you a part of those conversations, or were those things that were kind of presented? How did that all
Yeah.
come to be?
I'm the executive producer on the film as well. And so we really, Derek, Lee, Greg, and I, and Amanda, to be fair, we sat in rooms and they were like, what do you have? And we sort of went, at least for my stuff visually, I said, well, I have this stuff. They make the puppet. That was not the original Otis, was different, which you see him in the movie. And he was more like a grumpy kind of looking guy, but I don't think I have a grumpy face. And so
No.
we wanted people when we pulled out to be like, oh, that's the guy. That's just him. Where because Lenny doesn't look like Lenny. And it's like I'm
Right.
actually a bigger dude. That my friend, shout out to Lenny Jacobson who plays Lenny. Lenny's a tall, but he's not as tall as I am. So like his puppet is almost larger than life. Whereas it's sort of opposite for us. Like Otis is the small one, but it's like I'm 6'3". And so like we needed it to look as much like me in the face, and my hair was kind of long, but like because Greg was like, "Can you make your hair like long like the 70s?" I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." But I really wanted it to be like crazy, like Otis, that looked like a
Right.
turnip Mario would pull out of the ground. And and so they were like, "What is your wardrobe?" And I go, "He should be whimsical because that will make him more a more I think that he puts on like color. He is colorful. He wears colors,
Yeah.
but he is so black and white and or he's so gray on the inside.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that I would look that, and that's the thing is like back in the color scheme of things, I used to dress in the character in the flashbacks, I used to wear more colors. And then
Mhm.
as I got older and more, sort of numb to it, I'm wearing like a jean jacket and like a gray shirt and kind of brown pants. And that's not the way that he used to dress.
Yeah. And how did it feel for you talking about that? Like, when he goes through this and looks one way, and you said you only had 3 days to film this. How did it feel to kind of go through this emotional roller coaster in 3 days? And how did you map that out to make sure that you could hit each beat as you went on this journey?
I mean, like, they were the producers were so good about being aware of how much I think was being asked of me in the script, and that I really give all the credit to them because they didn't rush and they let Amanda and I really be alone in the workshop for a while. And that just takes a producer that knows what they're doing and is creating and fostering an environment where that can be done. Because it was a lot. I mean, it's like I think about the stuff that we left on the cutting room floor, but it's like there's so much. And I just think that whoever, whatever one of them did the schedule, it was very, very well thought out, and it gave us room to breathe and rehearse and do multiple takes. Because we were only going to get at the scene where I sort of like talked to him at the like we only got like 3 or 4 takes of, and I'm
Wow.
sewing of each
Right.
of those scenes. And that was that was really a scheduling thing. I think but I also think emotionally Derek Lee and Greg really created an environment where it was sort of like everyone just like back off, like a pitcher, right? Like let them do their thing. Everybody was so amazing and like was we were so locked in that day. I mean, that was like the best day. That day that we shot the workshop, people were so locked in and they were there. It was a crowded room, but when you look at it, it looks like he's alone. And so in order to get that space, people were giving me that, which I can't thank the crew enough for. I mean, the crew was just incredible. But again, it's it starts with the producers, and Lee and Derek and Greg were just magnificent.
What's it been like watching audiences react to this story?
It's been amazing because I think that I think when I love a film, the filmmaking gets to 50% and the audience has to meet you halfway. And I think when things aren't clear, the film has to do more of the work than the audience coming to its own decisions. And I think I'd like to say that it's been so 50-50, which is truly what I think you, as a filmmaker, that's what we set out to do. We set out to do 50% of the work, 100% of 50% of the work. And we hope that the audience is engaged enough to meet us halfway. And I think that that's been when it premiered in Dallas at Dallas International Film. It was a packed theater, it was amazing. And when there was that moment between Otis and I, where the guy comes in and you just heard the whole theater go, like it was wild because we've seen it and we know what's happening, but for them to like I mean, to hear them experience it as a collective in real time, I'll never forget that. And it's been that we just we're at Waco Indie, shout out to them, and and then just it's been amazing, and people have been so kind, and I love that people had shared stories about mental health, and I've struggled with mental health issues my whole life, and you know to really do something that's palpable where people feel comfortable and just saying, I've lost some really dear people in my life to suicide, really dear people. And people, not person, multiple. And it's just they're the to make it aware and have people come and share their stories and their experiences after and feel open
Mhm.
enough to do that has just been that's sort of what you want. You want people to talk about it more so that it
Yeah.
happens less. And so that's been such a beautiful thing at these festivals to meet people and to hear their stories and to sort of say like we're there for you and that this film is in our small way is saying like there are people who are there for you even if you don't know it.
And when you look back on this experience, was there anything about the role that either challenged you or excited you or something you learned that you can't wait to carry with you into future projects?
I think the biggest thing is the feature, right? Like taking an idea and not rushing it and doing again such a good job of producing a film, the team, like everybody, the crew, them getting this film together, or to be on a great team to go, let's start here. Because I think that there's this idea that it's got to be a TikTok video, which is like a minute, or
Right.
like the Odyssey, which I loved. I just saw it
Yeah.
and I loved it. And I go, but what are the stages? Like Whiplash was a short,
Mhm.
and District 9 was a short, and I
Yep.
happen to love those films very much. And to see and to really be If you find people that do different things than you, but have the same hopes and goals and dreams, you can, I don't mean win awards, I mean championships. You can make something that you really believe in. And that's really what Lee and Derek and Greg and I are united is that we took something, there was something I created, and then we didn't need to make like a 10-hour thing or like a series. You could just make one
Right.
thing. This work,
Hmm.
let's try to make the movie now. And I really think that having something that works, not just a hypothetical, but to point to something in your life where like, well, we did it with this, and to see that hopefully bring that into other areas of like start small and expand.
Yeah.
Obviously hit for the fences, right? Swing for the fences or whatever. But to be on that journey, I think is really about the process. And I think
Yeah.
we're in a business of product where everything is like, but what does it look like? But to have
Hmm.
been a part of such a special team who really understood the process, like I just it sort of is like I'm gonna really take those memories and that success and that feeling, with me into the next thing.
Nice. And one last question, because I know I have to let you go, though I could probably talk to you all day, is when audiences finish watching Meeting Your Maker and spend
Right.
this period of time in your world, what are you
Yeah.
hoping is something that they take away or stays with them after the credits roll?
I think that and you have to do this every day. You have to remind yourself about perspective, that everything is happening now and it won't happen in the future. I mean, like everything will have an end. And just to enjoy that it's happening now. And obviously, we have expectations for everything, but don't forget the thing that got you there. Because I think in life, we become so concerned. Does the thing turn out? But also, just being there is a win.
Mhm.
And being a part of something is a win. And it's amazing. I mean, in life, I don't mean in movies. I mean, like when you have an idea for something and think about the person that had that idea. And then when you get there, like obviously you could always say more. There's always room for improvement, but it's about the guy or the girl in that moment was trying to find the fun of a puppet show, right? And then when he got the puppet show, your responsibility now to an audience, but to yourself as a performer is you have to find it every day. That was somebody who does Hamlet on stage. They have to find it every single day. That's sort of the joy of revisiting something that feels familiar. And is lucky with a show like Yappy Hour, where it is a new story. Two
Right.
Broke Girls is a new story. But we do that in life. And I think with things that we've set goals for, we forget about that. But you go to a restaurant that you've been to 1,000 times, and you're able to find the joy in something like that. And we lose that in things that we pursue. And I think that and no matter what you're feeling, there are people out here to help you, and that you're never alone. And I think that it feels lonely sometimes to be an actor or to be this very public thing, but a lot of actors are very private.
Right.
And that this idea that you have people around you, even if you don't know them. That's why there's AA. That's why there's support groups for,
Hmm.
mental health. That these people are going through this thing, even if you don't know them, and go. You can go find them, and it's not embarrassing. It's not your it's very human to be hard on yourself and to want to give up, and I don't think that like you should be shamed for anything, but to know that just to not lose perspective, and that you may be like how the Otis is touching that little girl's life, that he doesn't know about her, that you really do. And that was the thing I would say about Two Broke Girls. When we would go out into the world, because we were on set all the time, and I would meet people in other countries all over the world, and they would tell me their experiences, and it was really like amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that I hopefully have carried that into something like this, which has given him the hope by the end.
So beautifully said. Well, Jonathan, thank you again so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time.
Didn't.
For those watching, Meeting Your Maker, again, is screening as part of the Oscar qualifying HollyShorts Film Festival taking place August 13th through the 23rd in LA. We will include information in the description notes on how you can get tickets, as well as social media information on the film and the team. If you enjoyed this conversation, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and don't miss out on any other conversations and festival coverage and award season content coming your way. And check out my website, cinephilemike.com, for more great cinematic content. Until then, this is Cinephile Mike reminding you to take a break and watch something new. Jonathan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.